Trudeau's Foreign Service is obsessed with Donald Trump. Today, I'll show you the access filings to prove it.
David McNaughton, ambassador to Washington during the Trump era, and Louise Blais, the former ambassador to the UN, going public with their comments about Trudeau, talking about Trump, fearing it could lead to retribution if he becomes president again. What do you make of this?
Well, let's start with the top line, which is it's quite surprising to see former top-level diplomats giving advice to the prime minister. It's, they're not elected officials, they're not adversaries, they're not on his team, and yet they're weighing in on these big issues. They're basing themselves, obviously, on their deep experience in international affairs and saying, be careful, especially McNaughton, who's, always had the ear of Trudeau, and he was quite cordial in his approach, but quite direct, saying, stop using Trump's name as a swear word against your political opponent, Pierre Poilievre.
That is former NDP leader, back when they had a grown-up in charge of that party, Thomas Mulcair, discussing the progressive reflex of the Trudeau Liberals to use the name Trump as a synonym for political boogeyman.
Mr. Speaker, what we hear from the Leader of the Opposition is under the previous Conservative government, everything was perfect, and what he is proposing to do is to make Canada great again. That is not what Canadians want. He is pining for a nostalgia that, quite frankly, Canadians do not feel. They remember what he did as part of Stephen Harper's failed housing minister. He remembers the people the rights of Indigenous peoples violated, the ignoring of environmental responsibilities, and the lack of an environmental and economic plan for the future. We're going to continue.
Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's anti-Trump strategy could cause economic problems for Canada since, well, the Americans are Canada's largest trading partner, and Trump is the presumed presidential nominee for the Republican Party in the upcoming American election. Current Democrat President Joe Biden's mental competency for the job of the leader of the free world is in serious doubt. Most recently, Biden mistakenly placed Mexico on the border with Israel.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side.
And yet, Trudeau's Foreign Service, Global Affairs Canada, has, according to this previously released access filing, at least 42 pages of prepared briefing notes on Donald Trump's legal cases covering just 4 months last year. Look at this. Global Affairs Canada, year 2023, month December. The requester asked for all briefing notes concerning Donald Trump's legal proceedings prepared for ministers and deputy ministers from April 1 to August 25, 2023. The disposition disclosed in part, disclosed 42 pages. 42 pages. Think of all the files wherein they claim to have no records, or just give us here at Rebel News 1 page, or a media story. Now, these are records they released to somebody else. I don't know whom. I know they exist, and I'll have to file for these records on my own, and you know I will. But this means there are 42 pages of briefing notes, not just random people in the department sharing media stories and emails as we so frequently see. Clearly, upper-level bureaucrats are obsessively covering Trump's legal cases. Now, are these briefing notes warning ministers to shut their yaps about Trump? I wonder. Or are the Liberals studying how Trump has staged this epic comeback we see before us? They should study it because the Liberals are bleeding support at just 24% in the polls. And the Liberals, of course, are idiots to dust off the old Trump is Satan card because Trump is polling higher in Canada than Trudeau is at 33% from Spark Advocacy. And Trump is polling higher with young people. Look at this. Demographically, Trump's support is stronger among younger people, and especially younger men. Roughly half of men under age 45, 42%, say they would vote for Trump. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At Rebel News, we take no money from Justin Trudeau to do the work we do, and how could we ever hold him to account if we did? But because of that fact, we rely on the support of our viewers at home to help us get our work done. If you'd like to help offset my costs to get access to these 42 pages of records, please consider making a donation at rebelinvestigates.com.